I probably had 100K goal by like to make it the 100K sector by 25. And I would say that I'm well over the 200K space.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today I have Mary Awodele. And you might not have heard of her yet, but in the tech space, she's kind of a big deal because she just doesn't do tech, she teaches tech, she preaches tech. She shows you how you can take that 40,000 you're making and possibly double it if you come under her service. And many people have given her testimonials. So do not let her look thinking she's just a Nollywood actress, which she's not yet. Don't let her look fool you. She's all in tech, Black in tech, teaching many women and men how to go to the next level. Mary, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I want people to really get a sense of who you are in tech and your specialty and like what's your purpose of, teaching and preaching, mentoring in tech.
I guess I started off, I'm still even kind of new into the tech space, but I was able to use my, researching skills, and use my current skills to be able to like elevate quicker than a lot of people normally would. So I just feel like there's just so many different avenues of tech that isn't like super, super technical or super difficult to navigate into that can, get you to that six-figure mark sooner than you think. And I figured if I can do it, if I literally was just someone who knew nothing about tech just last year and, to make that switch really quick to utilize just 6 months of hard studying, getting certifications, doing my research, I'm networking with people, and to be able to get me to like where I'm at now, I feel like anyone can do it because I literally like knew nothing. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm trying to do is expose people to more of that, to more of these different career paths, specifically in tech, that can, I guess, you know, accelerate your way to financial freedom. You may not be in tech forever or continue or like work for someone forever, but you can always use that money to invest into other spaces to get you to that path of like financial freedom. So that is pretty much what I'm trying to do.
So you've been in tech for about a year, you said?
About a year. Yep.
And I'm thinking like you are like, the sinner who was out there who got saved and just started falling out. And now it's everything Jesus, 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 and telling everybody about Jesus, which is a beautiful
Literally.
thing, folks. And so what were you doing before tech?
Honestly, I was in the nursing field. So I was pursuing nursing for like 3 years, but I just was never accelerating. Like I just knew that I couldn't picture myself in scrubs. I couldn't picture myself in a hospital. I just wasn't passionate about it. Honestly, I'm not passionate about any job. My passion is not working at all and just getting paid some way. But nursing or being in the healthcare field just wasn't for me. I kept going towards that, never really moved forward, kept failing a class. And I was like, okay, I'm going to switch to biotechnology. And then it just wasn't working out in the sense of the school that I had switched to. They were just kind of giving you a hard time about trying to register for a class that I wanted to take to be able to graduate earlier. And after that, I was like, all right, I'm done trying to like make this work. And I had been doing my research just a little bit about the tech field in different spaces. And I just randomly switched my major late last year to networking and cybersecurity, use that as like a base level, to just give me that base level knowledge, and then just kind of went from there. So yeah.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Now, were you being pushed like many African, children, I'll say, but youth, women, hey, go into nursing. That's where the money is. Money, oh, that's where it's at. Is that why you went
Yeah.
into nursing?
Yeah, I thought that that was the only thing that I could do. My parents was like, okay, well, there's always going to be a job in the medical field. You're always going to do this. And I was just like, honestly, it just doesn't make sense because I just feel like nurses honestly don't get paid for their value. A lot of them end up leaving or doing something else. And I just feel like the investment that you put in, the amount of money you're paying for nursing school and the amount of time and the blood, sweat, and tears that, that they have to invest into this to come out. I like making the amount that some of them are making. I'm not saying that they're not, they're really high level, like high paying careers in the tech field, but typically someone who's like new, I mean, not in the tech field, in the nursing field, but someone who typically is like new, you're not going to make super, super, super high, starting off or quick unless you decide to either do travel nursing or you decide to um, just or get your master's. And I feel like I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to keep on getting more degrees and do this and do that to be able to get to that level. Like I just didn't have time for that. So I just went on Google. What is the fastest way to make this amount of money with, low financial investment and without a degree yet? And I landed in the tech space. So
That's beautiful. And again, plenty of money, and around the world you can do whatever you want to do. We have a healthcare business and even a program in healthcare over here, and always pushing nursing. But when you know that it's not your thing, it's
yeah.
good to step out. And you stepped out prior to COVID, which you can make a lot of money now, but you put your health at risk. So tell the people, because you said some things aren't as difficult or technical and you can get certifications real quick, which her website, which is in the description box, has more information on that. But let them know what you decided to go in. How long did it take you, and what was the the annual salary that you were looking at?
So the crazy thing is right before COVID, I'd say about January, I was working like a regular front desk job at this real estate office, doing regular clerk stuff. And I had gotten fired from there, right? This was like 2 weeks before COVID, which is literally the perfect time. And it's just crazy how things work out. But like I got fired from there from actually applying to jobs on the job. So funny. So and I was applying to tech jobs. So I got fired from there. But the crazy thing is typically I would be panicking. I'm like, oh my God, do I have a job, whatever, because I've never been without a job. But for some reason, when I had gotten fired, I felt like a sense of happiness, like a weird sense of deep happiness. I was like, what's going on? Like, why do I feel warmer? Like, I feel like the day was bright, the breeze was shining, it was sunny outside. I'm just like, I just got fired. Like, why am I happy? So, but I knew that would be the start of something. And I told myself that my next job would be in the tech space, and then COVID happens 2 weeks later. I'm able to get on the unemployment wave. And, like during like the heat of COVID, they were paying people a lot of money on unemployment. So I was like, okay, so I'm getting paid like $4K a month to literally be at home and do, nothing. But I didn't just do anything. I didn't just do nothing. I utilized that time to get my different certifications. And I pretty much I was networking as well. I was sliding in people's DMs to see if there are other different career paths other than the cybersecurity or the software engineer that, requires heavy coding. Or I was looking at what are the other spaces of tech that you don't have to do all of this. And there's like so much. There's a non-technical versus the technical side of tech. So technical side of tech is that's where, either heavy coding or cybersecurity or just it's going to require a good amount of time to really like grasp it. And you typically can't just go into that making like a whole bunch of money, but I mean, you'll make a decent amount of money starting off, but just not maybe the amount that you are expecting. But so I was looking at those, and there are a few different jobs. There are business analysts, so they're IT business analysts. It's good to have technical knowledge, but it's also a functional kind of job. So more things that you can teach yourself, easily. And then there's the IT service management space. There's the IT auditing space, which is technical, but it's a little bit easier to understand for someone who's new. And there's just like so many different, and pretty much I was just kind of like, I chose 3 different career paths, but I mean, typically I'd advise one if you're new into tech, but I chose like 3 different career paths, outlined the different certifications that went for each of those career paths, got the certifications. And then after that, so I split up a few months to get my certs, and then the months after that would be to practice hands-on labs, so to get the hands-on experience. And then the last month, I was like, okay, I want a new job by the end of July. So I broke them up into three pieces, certifications, hands-on labs, and then actually actively applying for jobs and interviewing, because that, interviewing helps you to interview more. That's really the best kind of practice there is. So kept doing that. I landed my first job within the government space as a systems administrator. And then I'm like, okay, starting that. And then literally probably about like 4 weeks later, I got a with a higher government space as a business IT business analyst. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm like still practicing interviewing. I like to practice interview just to, even if I'm not going to accept the job, just to get more experience interviewing and also to help other people interview. And then next thing you know, I probably had 100K goal by like to make it 100K sector by 25. And I would say that I'm well over the 200K space at 23, and I'm literally like still new into tech. So yeah, so that is pretty much, I definitely, looking to have that, make that salary range, like, and by 25, and then being here now, like literally within like a few months is, still crazy to me. So yeah.
Now, somebody's ears will perk up because they'll say, wait, hold on. For a woman who did not want to do anything, which, to many folks will say, oh, she wanted to be a housewife, or she just wanted to kind of maybe travel the world and be funded by someone to make $200,000 a year, and say, okay, I'm making 200,000. What is she doing? And the number one question, especially young people ask, is how much math and science am I gonna need to get to that level? So kind of tell people, like, throughout your day, if you can kind of put it in layman's terms, to like, what are you doing, so they can say, can I do that? Is that a skill set that I have, or is that just something that you learn? Can they go through the class and anybody can do it if they just push through?
Anyone can do it if they just push through. Honestly, everything was self-taught. I taught myself until I got into a space in which I was learning on the job. Um, there depend on what you can do. There are different niches. I would say that for anyone in the tech space, if you want to be in demand and get up there quick, you probably want to find a specialty. There's so many different kinds of platforms that you can specialize in. You may have heard of Salesforce. That's also a specialty. There's ServiceNow. There's like so many different other platforms that you can specialize in whatever you're doing. So if you're in cybersecurity, you can specialize within Salesforce or ServiceNow as a platform. If you are in networking, you can specialize. If you're a business analyst, you can specialize. So like find a platform or two to specialize in, and then you've got the different jobs underneath. But a lot of things I did was just practice hands-on labs. The thing is, within these platforms and what you want to do, there's a gazillion hands-on labs online and trainings that other people have taught. You're gonna have to purchase them, but that have taught in detail from zero to hero. I mean, there's so many different websites. There's Udemy. There's just so many different tech websites in which you can just teach yourself. There are labs or with real life scenarios. Take that on for yourself, understand it, and then interview and talk about those.
And those, if you can mention a few of those, and what timeline, how long will it take for them to complete it?
Um, it really depends on what you're trying to do. I would say it took me, I'm a crackhead. I got a whole bunch of different threads. I was deep in Reddit discussions. Like, I don't advise anyone to try and get as much notifications that I got. I wasn't doing anything, you know what I mean? So, but it's gonna be harder for other people who have jobs or have kids and all that stuff. But I would say it probably took it took 6 months of just grinding hard to be able to get my positions. But each position that I landed, even if I was just working there for a month, helped me to land a new one, because being there for a month gave me knowledge to be able to learn for the following interview. So it just depends on what you're trying to do. Different sectors of tech, a little bit more easier to get into, and some of them aren't. Obviously, if you're trying to be like a software engineer, which is a hardcore coding or something like that, it's going to take you, quite a bit of time. Maybe I would say, I know some people who maybe learn in 6 months if you're just hardcore coding, if that's what you want to do. There is a cybersecurity space. Cybersecurity is a little bit harder to break into. It's not really entry level friendly, but once you get in, it is financially rewarding. So it really just honestly depends. For stuff that are more functional, like business analyst careers or IT service management careers, it may take you a few months. And just you have to create a timeline for yourself, but be realistic. I would say to give yourself at least 6 months to really learn what you want to learn. But different courses have different timelines. They may say, okay, this is a 20-hour course. Okay, now you got to break it up between, whatever time that you have available. But it's really self-paced, honestly, and how quick. If you have a 20-hour course and you're doing it every day, you'll get done quicker than someone else who has other stuff to do or is breaking it up differently. So it really just depends on you, and it's personalized by your lifestyle, by the course, teacher, and whatever the field of tech is in. So there's no like definite answer. It just depends on what you're trying to do.
Okay. And I mean, you mentioned Salesforce. Would you say Cisco is a good one? Java, Python, like how do they get to the 200,000? That's what someone's listening and say, how do I get there?
So that's why I mean by it depends on what you're trying to do. You can get to that within different spaces of tech. If you were trying to get into software engineer, it's not that salary range is not hard to obtain, because the more you're coding, the more money you're going to get paid. Like big companies are going to want to retain you and they're going to pay you a lot. I mean, there are people making more than that, within that space. So I would say that for someone who's trying to get that, who's new into tech, see if you can get remote jobs and make sure that they're not conflicting, and try to get on several contracts. If you can work 2 contracts at one, and maybe one is paying you, even if they're junior level ones, if one is paying you like 70 and the other one is paying you like 70, then you're making 140. If you're a little bit higher up and one is paying you 100 and the other one is paying you around 100, then you're at 200. It's really not that hard to obtain. I mean, if you're working multiple gigs. The key thing is eventually when you get up there and you are making more money, or you're more knowledgeable, and then you're a little bit more senior level, then if you're able to get that one job that's paying you close to that, like that's honestly the ultimate goal. So it just really depends on the space that you decide to choose. But the quickest way to get to that is if you can work remote or contract jobs, then you're able to have multiple and they're not conflicting, or they have different kinds of schedules and such. You're able to do both. It's really not that hard to get to. And then as you work your way up, you're not always going to want to work multiple jobs at the same time. You're able to have less things going on. So, yeah.
Okay, and I'm glad you mentioned that because there's folks that I know who they're doing 500,000 plus, but they got one computer here, and another here, while teaching other people how to code in their class that they teach at home, right? So to get to that 200,000, how many jobs are you doing, and how do you break that up? Because most people are like, well, if I have a job, I'm working 9 to 5, so where do I find time? But coding or tech is different, where you can be doing multiple things.
Yeah.
So kind of explain how that works for you.
So I currently have 2. So I'm doing 2 different things. How I'm able to break up time, I would say for people who are trying to time manage, one job, you don't want to have 2 jobs that are too demanding. If you're working a job that has a lot of meetings daily and you want a second job, your second job shouldn't be as demanding. It should be more of okay, they assign you something and you get it done at a certain time. You want to make sure that they have 2 different kinds of workloads. You can't work 2 different jobs that are having multiple meetings at the same time. Do I sometimes have that going on? Yeah, but it's hectic. Like, I wouldn't want to do that every day. So I would say that, have, if you want to get into coding, you want to be a software engineer, maybe your other job is going to be more within the ITSM space, and you don't have to work those full time too. One can be part time, the other one can be full time, or you can do, I would say you can do short term contracts as well. If you don't want to do multiple things at once, you can do shorter term contracts. Typically, the shorter it is, and within, like, with contract jobs, you get paid more because you're not necessarily permanent. But some contracts are like a year, some of them are 6 months, some of them are even 3 months, and they pay a lot because it's shorter. So if you want to just like do that, like you don't want to commit too hard, you just want some extra money, then do something that's a shorter contract, shorter range. But or you can have one job that's full time, the other one that's part time, or if you don't, if you can get your sleep in between, or you're not really too crazy about sleep, then you can have one that's in the daytime, the other one that's in the nighttime, that's part-time. So you can still, so it's flexible, honestly. And then when people think of like the 8 hours, you're not always going to be working 8 hours. Some jobs may just be like a 30-minute meeting for that day, and you're doing nothing for the rest of the day. And you can just, choose how you spend your day. So it really just depends on the job, but there are different ways that you can time manage, honestly. So, yeah.
Okay, because this is kind of an alien topic to someone. Let's say, just for example, they've got their certifications. They're coming from a job, McDonald's, Target, and they're like, I just know life can be better than what it is. And now you're telling me I can do two jobs at once, where I could never have worked. If I worked at McDonald's in the day, then Target at night stocking, you're telling me I can just kind of do this and possibly from home. It's like, tell me more, because people have to get their mind around tech isn't your typical career
Yeah.
field.
Yeah. So it's not, just like I said, you're able to take on multiple stuff because the workloads. Now, I'm not gonna lie, some days maybe that one job is really hectic, and the other one, maybe they're both hectic, and you have to, it just depends on your time management skills and being able to delegate stuff and working after hours. Some stuff, it's not always going to be within the 9 to 5 realm, especially if you have multiple stuff going on. You're not going to be working just within 9 to 5. You're going to be working after hours, um, based off of however way you kind of delegate them, but it's not going to be like the regular person, which you're able to just kick off your shoes after, that amount of time. But the good thing is, you're in bed, you're on a computer, it's a little bit less strenuous, and maybe mentally strenuous, depending on what you're doing. But, like I said, it depends on the job, but you're able to, there are different ways and there are different levels to it, honestly. But yeah, it's like just like I said, within the tech space, some days you'll have one meeting, some days no one even contacts you, have got nothing to do. So why not do something else while you're doing that? Get money while you can. Especially during this time, it's COVID, you know, like do as much as you can, and then until you can't anymore. But I feel like things are gonna kind of change a little bit just because everyone's kind of remote now. So especially within the tech space, it's like, okay, if we're able to do stuff remote, why do we need to come back in the office? So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
No, it gives a good idea, because again, you said you're new in the tech space, but if somebody researches you and they'll say, but she was a cloud intern in 2015, so maybe she got certified in something else, and I just know working for, if Nas, in the cloud space, I worked for Synology at one point, and it was one of those. I'm the PR guy, but I got certified in what their software
yeah.
was, and was in dealing with their CES and media issues that they had at the time.
Hmm.
And it just, being in Seattle, there were other tech companies, but Synology really opened my eyes and showed me like, wow, okay, there's a need, because in tech, it's very cold. People are just kind of doing their own thing. And me being an introvert and liking to talk with people, God forbid you were to hug somebody or dap them up. I mean, a lot of tech folk are, oh, he's touching me. They just,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but it shows me the need, because, it's great to be in tech, but
Hmm.
Synology, just for an example, made the mistake of bringing their techie people to CES and was upset that their techie people weren't socialites. I said, they never practiced that,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean, they're different. Yeah, good amount of tech, but that's only because people only highlight on the super technical roles that don't typically require people skills. Um, there are tech jobs in which requires you to literally always talk to someone. You're talking with your team, you're scheduling meetings, you're delegating meetings. You have to be a sociable person. And like I said, these are the business analyst jobs, either the scrum master role, these are the project manager roles. You have to talk to multiple people on your team. You have to be personable, and you got to get information out of people who aren't personable. And that's literally your job, to get information out of people, to pretty much like make sure that everyone is on one accord. So there are different spaces of that. If you're if you're someone who's more, personable, you want to talk to people, you like managing, like you can get into that side of space. I mean, that side of tech as well. But if you're someone who wants to be left alone, which a lot of people in tech are, then you've got those kind of career paths as well. And I feel like I'm kind of both. Sometimes I want to be left alone. Sometimes I don't mind talking to people. For the most part, I want to be left alone. But it just really, yeah, I would say that if you want to be left alone, tech is a great career to get into. But there are also spaces in tech that if you want to talk to people, that exist as well.
Okay, and let's talk about talking to people, because she wants to be left alone, but the super ego in her, it won't allow her just to be quiet, because that Nigerian blood will have you have to talk in Nigeria. You can't survive with the population like that and things going fast. And even though we're here in the States, it's always in you, but you're mentoring people, you're coaching people, and
Yeah.
you have packages that help people, and plenty of testimonials, as I've mentioned. But if they go to your site, when they go to your site, what type of love, embrace, what makes your program different than anybody else's?
Well, mine is personable to your lifestyle. And as someone who is new into tech and knew nothing, I'm able to communicate to other people on that level as well. It's kind of hard for, say other people's programs and such who have been in tech forever. They kind of lose that touch a little bit because they just been in it for so long. They don't really know how to communicate to other people who aren't and have a gazillion questions. So I would say that, that's why I kind of titled it. I named my website and my business, My Tech Best Friend, because I wanted it to be like I'm your friend, like I'm your friend in tech, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be so formal. Like a lot of the people who that booked me were in contact through text message for a good amount of time. They can text me, I can call you. You can FaceTime me if you want to like talk about something real quick. And I pretty much hold your hand into getting your first certification, or into navigating which space, I can pick apart your life and see, okay, well, you're this kind of person based on hearing them speak. This is what you want to do. All right, well, these are the career paths that I would suggest you look into. And I love to give information. I love to kind of organize people's lives. So and I feel like a lot of people want that. They just want someone to just be like, okay, do this, do that, you'll get here. They don't want to think for themselves. Um, but yeah, I would just say I pretty much hold your hand and guide you into getting your foot in there, to having a plan for yourself, getting your first certification, that you most likely pass, and then also a different package in which, okay, now you are looking for jobs, let's help you look for a job and get you in that space to keep doing that even after we stop speaking. And yeah, so it's really
Okay.
deep.
Yeah, no, it's deep, and these are jobs that you typically can do, anywhere in the world. But how does tech work? Where if there's people who want to go and live anywhere they want, can why would they hire an American over hiring someone from India or somebody from Africa who would work at a lower, wage, potentially, like, and that's changing too. But yeah, how does that work?
I would say because of culture, if you can hire people from different places and such, but overseas, there's a lot of things that could go wrong, in that you don't really know how their time is. You can't really keep track of certain stuff or what's going on there, just like how everything is going on right now with COVID. Different countries and even different states are, operating differently. So if you're somewhere else in, say, Nigeria, and for example, Nigeria, huge electricity problem. Power is always going out, and they hire you and they're expecting you to be here at a certain time, but your power is out. You can't, or your Wi-Fi is on, something like that. You can't really, you can't, you can't access things the way that they're able to. Um, and then also shipping. If you're working remote and they have to ship you equipment and stuff like that, or ship you, like laptop, or things that you need to work the job, who's going to want to ship all the way to Nigeria or a completely different place? Like they think they look into cost, as well of other stuff that kind of, like that kind of go like, play a part in that situation. So it's really just one, I would say, lifestyle in a sense, to be able to understand you, culture, other costs that it would take to get you, and also time, like time zones. They want someone that's able to operate on their time zone as well. And if you're halfway across the world, while it's daytime here, it's gonna be nighttime there for you. So I think that's why they don't really do that as much. I mean, it may change, but I don't see it changing as much. I feel like it'd probably be state wide. Now it's like, okay, it's not going to be limited to people that are in your state. It can be somewhere else in California or someone else completely. But I don't think it's going to be like country, to be honest.
Okay, okay. Sometimes there's laws that stop certain things. Radiologists used to be able to read anywhere in the world, and then the laws changed. And so I'm sure with if you have certain security clearances, they might want
Yep.
you to be stationed
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. If you are working for the government, I work for the government. If you are working for the government, you cannot work outside unless you are being contracted or you're overseas. They do have overseas jobs. That's a different sector. You know what I mean? That's they have those as well. They have overseas contracts, but for the ones who aren't overseas, like, you can't do that. And typically for the overseas contracts, they're based in certain places. They're based in specific places. It wouldn't just be of your choice or wherever. But yeah, if you're working certain government contracts, you can't go certain places, or you can't work outside of the US unless you are overseas contractor. But like I said, you can have a choice, but it's not like anywhere. So yeah.
Okay. And getting all this certification, somebody might look at you and say, wait, is Kellen talking to like someone in the CIA or the NSA? Or do you have goals of, going that high? Not to say if you're in it or not, because you couldn't say that, we know. But, do you have goals of saying, look, I don't mind working at the highest level and even, dealing with Interpol and everybody else overseas at some point? Is that a goal of yours?
I would prefer not to, just because the higher you go up and the higher clearance you have, the more restrictions that you have in place. If you have a certain level of clearance, you're just being watched. You can't, you got to let them know your every move. I don't really want to do that. And I would rather, yeah, when you're within the government space, there are things that are restricted. You can't go certain places. You can't go to Cuba. There's a few amount of places that are restricted in which you can't go to. You gotta, if you're traveling, you gotta report that. If you maybe get a DUI or get arrested for something little, you got to report that, or else you could lose your clearance. And if you lose that, then you lose your job. So there's a lot of things that are tied to that. They look at your finances. They just look at so much, as opposed to if you were just working for a private sector or just like a regular non-government job. You pretty much have free range and freedom to be able to do what you want, in a sense, and go where you want, where you don't have that many restrictions and your job isn't really tied to your clearance. So yeah, it's cool. I like it, but I don't think I would want to like go higher and get like a, top secret. Like, I don't, I'm fine where I'm at, now that I have experience in it. So, yep.
Okay. And as far as, you teaching, I notice you stay kind of quiet on social
Yeah.
media. So there's no like YouTube of you saying, hey, I can teach you. It's like, if you can find me, you can find me. But, I don't see you, everybody now has done a TED talk except me, but, people just are putting the sign anywhere now in their living room. And I'm doing a
Uh-huh.
TED talk. So I feel special. It's like Black Mirror / Twilight Zone for real, because everyone's doing the same thing, which disgusts me. I mean, really disgusts me, because I'm like, we can't all be alike that much, alike where
Yeah.
hey, I went to Disneyland, I went to Paris. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
great. But would you see yourself doing any of that YouTube to get the audience?
I don't know. I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert slash extrovert. So like, I'm extroverted in certain situations, or when I need to be. But for the most part, I don't really like being in front of an audience situation, like I just kind of like to keep to myself. I like to observe and do things on the low as opposed to, broadcasting. Even like with my side business that I have, I don't really advertise it. When I first launched it, I was just like, oh, who wants to get this certification? And they got like, I had like 200 people in my messages. But after that, and still booking, but after that, like, I'm surprised that people even still book me because I don't talk about it. I have a Twitter page for it, but I don't talk about it. I don't say, oh, I have this going on. I don't have, like, I barely talk about it, yet people still consistently book me. But I guess that's a good thing. But I don't know. I just prefer, if I were to ever have a YouTube channel, it would be more of, when I finally relocate, so like move from the East Coast to Houston, I would want to maybe do something on lifestyle, on just like, and then maybe part of that would be what I do, but I would rather not publicize like my life in the tech space per se, especially since I work for the government. I would rather not have people try and look for me. I know that sometimes when I'm on Twitter and I have people trying to look for me on LinkedIn, I remove the contact or block them ASAP. I don't need people to know what's going on. And even with my jobs on LinkedIn, like they're not updated. So you're not going to know where I work specifically unless I tell you, because you got to protect yourself, especially being a Black woman in the space. People are haters and don't, want you to get up there. And I just don't want people to have to research me and have ties to my life because I like to be private and left alone. So yeah.
No, I definitely understand that. Now, do you see yourself being an entrepreneur in the future? Because here you have all these great certifications and talents, but you also have ties, to Nigeria where you were born. And I had showed you off camera books like this talk about companies and people and kind of show the way how they've gone and taken their talents back to the continent and made millions and millions of dollars. I quote somebody who said in a conference recently at the ditde.com conference, he's like, they gave me $5 million to come back
Right.
here, and it was like, whoa,
Yeah.
just because he had so many skills. So talk about your relationship with, entrepreneurship, and then we'll go to Nigeria.
Entrepreneurship, I definitely want to get into that. I want to get into other sides of it. So like maybe e-commerce, or maybe like digital products. I know I might create like a manual to get into the tech space so that way people can just have that. Um, I would like to get into real estate as well. So like real estate entrepreneurship, investing, different forms, so I'm still learning. But yeah, I would say whatever I can like do, like I don't really have any limitations to myself. I think that as I grow, then, it may be way much further and, cross overseas and stuff like that. But as of now, I just want to kind of see what I can do in different spaces. So
Okay.
yeah, and then in terms of, go ahead.
Yeah, in terms of Nigeria, let's go there because I'm going to let the audience know why I'm bringing this up, because there's this romanticized Africa right now
Yeah,
that
yeah.
people are running to, and now crying about, I need GoFundMe help. So and Africa wasn't Wakanda like I saw in the movie. And so yeah, I want you to talk about your relationship, what you like, dislike, and maybe you prefer America over Nigeria at this point in your life.
I would say I prefer to live in America just because I've been here. You can do a lot more stuff. And Nigeria is just going through it right now. But I don't know. Like when I miss it. You know what I mean? Like I love that. I love that lifestyle. I love that village girl kind of lifestyle, and that's still in me now. Like I eat Nigerian food every day. That's what I eat every day. So it's still a heavy part of my lifestyle. Parents speak the language to me. It's just it's me. But I don't know. I don't know if I would want to invest there. I don't really know the details to it or what I can do. Like I said, I'm just learning about investing and all that stuff. So I'm still like a baby in that case. So I feel like maybe down the line, if there's a way I can do that. My dad does it, but I don't know. Honestly, I'm not really knowledgeable on the different stuff that you can do within that. But I mean, I'd be open to it later on in the future, but probably not right now though. So
Okay, and you said your dad does it. What does he do? Is he in IT too?
No, he's not in IT. He works for the government, but honestly, I mean, I can't really talk about what he does, but he's not in IT. He wants to get into it, but yeah, he's more of a
Okay.
hardware kind of guy, hands on. You know how men are for the most part. I don't want to touch anything. So, yeah.
Okay. No, and I just, it sparks ideas when, if you say, oh, well, everybody sends cars or computers or whatnot. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's why I was asking if he does it and if it was something that you could help him with and, put it on
Yeah, he's been
mental
asking me
steroids.
about it, and I'm just like, sir, like, I don't want to say he's too old for it because no one is too old for it, but I'm just like, the kind of stuff that he wants to do, I don't have knowledge on that because he's more of a hardware, hands-on, break apart situation. I'm not that kind of person. I'm more internal. I'm more software, I'm not gonna break apart a computer or fix it or put it back together or what. I don't have any interest in that. So I don't know how I can teach him. But however, we're Africans. Like Africans are literally in IT. You can contact someone down the street and have them, teach him stuff. So I don't, but it's new. If I can help him, I'll help him and stuff. But I don't really know.
Now,
Yeah.
with the success that you're having and that you're gonna have, what is a community give back that you are doing or that you want to do in the future?
Um. Honestly, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. Like I feel like my give back lately has been helping other people, not even outside, even honestly, before I even got my jobs, I was helping other people get certifications before I even had my service or whatever. I never wanted to turn into a business. My friend literally forced me. She was like, you need to go turn into business. I was just helping people, going down the street, helping people, letting, helping my friends or people that would DM me and just like, and I feel like giving to them probably helped me to get where I'm at now. But I feel like down the line, if there are other ways for me to kind of give back, I mean, I would love to. I just don't. Honestly, I just do so much, and I just have so much going on. I really don't think about other things. But I would love that eventually, as I get more, because I'm still learning, as I get more settled into my career space. I mean, there whatever ways is available. I mean, how do you know of any ways that I can, I guess, give back and such? But
Yeah, I mean, oh
but
yeah, there's definitely. I'm gonna have
I'm sure
someone.
you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have somebody text me say, "Tell her she can give back to me with that 200,000. I got a charity she can fund." That's what
Yeah.
money. People will think of. But there's so much. I mean, I'm gonna again go back to Africa and say there's so many cab drivers in different cities who have
Right.
PhDs. Who have PhDs. They're driving cabs because the country, politics. And so if they go through a certification class like yours, maybe there's an opportunity down the line for a company. Maybe it's not in America, maybe it's in Asia, maybe it's in, Nigeria, that they can blossom or they get funded for
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So that's my, thing. If we
I can see myself doing that, helping people who don't have the funds or resources and stuff to get into that kind of space. When I think about all the people that may be like trapped in their places and can't move forward, especially like in Nigeria, like a lot of the youth, like they're going to school, they're doing all that stuff, but there are no jobs, then it's just like a sense of hopelessness. Like what am I working for? What am I living for? So that's why there's all this stuff going on, and people are just like, oh my god, why would they put themselves at harm's risk? Why would they do that, if they're just shooting them left or right? Because they don't feel like there's anything worth living for. They're just hopeless. There's no jobs. What am I, what am I going to do? Might as well just fight for, you know fight, and I just like, and when I think of that stuff, because I know I have cousins that are, it really makes me like sad. Like I wish I could just bring them all here, but it's like hard, so. But I don't know if there are if there are ways in which I could put money towards that, on getting people and knowing that the money actually goes to that. um I mean, yeah, I would do that.
Well, money is one thing, but I mean, you could have a website just for, that country. You could block the IPs of America, and
Right.
have even a, I don't know if your courses are any are pre-recorded, but whatever you're teaching one person, I always say you can teach another, and that can be recorded, and they can at least get the gist of it. And that can be all free. Now, if they want something more personal, one-on-one, the thing about immigrants, in this country, they work a lot harder because they know they have to. And that's how, no matter where you come from. And Black people, I would say, before my grandparents, right, at that generation, they worked harder because they knew they had to. And, my grandmother got her degree when she was my grandmother, right? She was she was old, right? And she's still old.
Yeah.
But to say, we have an idea of bringing African nurses over to America, but what we need is the universities in Cameroon to agree with the university, one here, and say, let's do like a study abroad thing, and let's like switch nurses. So our nurses can get your game and vice versa. And that's just a cultural program. Colleges love that stuff, but it's also, we have a nurse shortage here, and we have a tech shortage too, because people in high school aren't being told, hey, go into tech. Actually, we're going to do a accelerated program. There's very few of those that I've seen, and I've been around. And that's what we need, those accelerated programs where I catch you in middle school to teach you what you're going to need at 20 or 18, even when you're out of your parents' house. So, let me know you want to talk about that more, because I could go on and on for days and say, give me 5 minutes and say, oh, we got to talk to this district, then talk to this, and put it all together. But I love the game that you're giving, and we don't want to give the people a game overload, because I want them to go to your website, change their life. I want them to just really see what that 88,000 that you talked about on your website even tastes like, because to somebody, that's enough money for them to live off and their family. And, some people are going to listen to this, Mary, and be like, no, I need that 200,000 because I need to pay my bride price by, next year, and I need more money. So,
but even like help desk jobs, like maybe like the lower end jobs, that's more customer service. They're help desk job. When I was interviewing for just help desk jobs and I was new, there were help desk jobs that were paying 50K, like and it's literally just like answering calls and, okay, yeah, I broke my printer. Okay, let's investigate Google on and let them know what you're, seeing off Google. You can just Google it and research. And these jobs are paying 50K, so there even internships that you can get, internships that are paying $20 an hour to $24, $25 an hour, like there's so many different ways that you can like get to that, honestly. And what I'm trying to do eventually, that's gonna be my 2021 goal. I know you like asked me about like entrepreneurship and stuff, and that's what I want to do. Like, in a sense, I want to get into like staffing, to like help staff people. So maybe start something in which, or start with someone else, partner with someone in getting that started, to be able to get these contracts, to be able to staff other people, and maybe tie that to trainings. Like, I've always been, interested in that, and been talking to a few people about that. It's good money for me, about also getting people in these, like getting Black people in these career paths, and like increasing these stats, and the way to that is through tech, increasing income stats. Like, it's so crazy how much people don't know. I didn't know, so many people literally don't know that they can just do that. Like, I never thought I would be in the tech field. If you asked me last year, I'd be like, me, tech, I'm not a computer person, no. And now I'm like a tech girl, So like, once you find what you want to do, like, you'll find a way to love it. You love it eventually. You don't have to hate it. You don't have to do, like, it doesn't have to be extremely like super hard. Like, anyone can do it, honestly. So I don't know.
Well, Mary, just let us know how that 200 is going to go to that 500,000 plus, because staffing has a ton of money.
Oh
And that
yeah,
is,
definitely.
And think about it. Now you already have some students, and now, okay, you're paying for my training, but now I'm going to job place you. So I'm doing more than your
Mm-hmm.
universities at much of these places. So man, that's it, y'all. I thank Mary for coming on. You guys, I'm gonna have her links in the description. Hit her with educated, game if you are ready, and and ready to pay too, because you can't waste people's time. Like, share, subscribe wherever you're listening. Make sure let a young person tune in so they can be ahead of the game. Mary, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.